The most dangerous person isn't the one who raises their voice or wears their fury openly. It's the one who smiles while quietly preparing their strike. Picture this. You stand in a well-lit room. The air feels safe. The voice is warm. Across from you, someone greets you like an old friend. Their tone soft. Their words disarming. But behind that pleasant mask, calculation is unfolding. Every nod, every question, every compliment is measurement. An assessment of where to press when the time is right. This is real danger. Not the enemy who stands across from you, but the one who stands beside you pretending to care. 500 years ago, Machiavelli warned that deception thrives because people want to believe. And Marcus Aurelius began each morning by reminding himself, "Today I will meet the deceitful, the selfish, the manipulative, not to despise them, but to remain ready." So today's lesson begins here. With awareness sharper than fear, a simple truth doesn't need dressing. It stands unguarded, unpolished, like a sword resting in its sheath, steady and visible. But a lie is fragile, so it hides behind layers of decoration. It needs noise, color, and movement to survive. Watch carefully. When you ask a direct question, the honest answer comes effortlessly. One clean breath, one straight path. I was home, that's all. But the liar performs. He adds timestamps, irrelevant details, side stories, names you never asked for. I got home around 9:37, made pasta, watched a show, texted Jake, my phone died. The words pile up like bricks, building a wall between you and the truth. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. Silence exposes liars faster than accusation. Ask once, then stay still. Don't nod, don't fill the gap. Let the quiet expand, because silence is oxygen to the honest and poison to the deceitful. Watch how they squirm to fill it, how their need to convince betrays them long before the facts do. I once knew a man in sales. Every Monday, his boss would ask a simple question. How was your week? The honest ones replied plainly. Closed 2 deals. But he would unleash a storm of numbers, excuses, and market talk, graphs in the air, reasons in every direction. The more he spoke, the more his truth unraveled. Weeks later, it came out his results were falsified. His tongue had confessed long before the reports did. Seneca wrote, "He who defends himself with too many words condemns himself in the process." You can see that wisdom play out in every office, every friendship, every negotiation. The liar uses speech as armor, not communication. So, your discipline must be stillness. Let them speak. Don't rescue them with your own words. Their over-explanation will expose them. The Stoic doesn't chase truth. He lets falsehood destroy itself. When you stop interrupting, lies collapse under their own weight. Words can be rehearsed, but the body always tells the truth. You can train your tone, memorize your script, even practice your smile, but the face, the eyes, the breath, they will betray the performance. The mouth speaks language, but the muscles speak reality. Watch carefully. Someone says, "I'm happy for you," but their smile dies before it reaches the eyes. They say, "I trust you," yet their gaze flickers away like a shadow, avoiding light. These are micro-expressions, half-second flashes of truth too fast for control, too real for deception. Machiavelli would call them the cracks in armor. The Stoics would call them moments when illusion collapses under its own weight. I once watched an athlete deny cheating on live TV, every word perfect. But before he spoke, his jaw tightened, his blink lingered, and fear slipped through the gap. Months later, evidence confirmed what his body had already revealed. When you suspect deceit, don't listen harder, look closer. Marcus Aurelius warned, "See not what a man says, but what he does." That's where the truth hides, not in the words, but in the fragments of behavior that leak between them. The liar rehearses his speech but forgets to control his breath. He forgets the small muscles that move without permission. So when you test honesty, slow everything down. Hold your gaze. Don't blink. Don't soften the air with a smile. Just observe. The body will always break before the lie does. You'll see it, the flicker, the hesitation, the mismatch between tone and expression. That tiny fracture is confession. It happens faster than logic, faster than guilt. The honest person remains steady in your silence, while the liar shifts, laughs, blinks too fast, or looks away. This isn't suspicion, it's discipline. You're not hunting lies, you're training perception. Because once you see through the mask, the performance no longer holds power over you. Memory is alive. It bends and flows like water because truth moves with time. But a lie, it's rigid, rehearsed, brittle. It cannot bend. It can only repeat. Ask someone about a moment from the past, and an honest person will tell it slightly differently each time. The spirit stays the same, but the words shift. Like wind brushing through the same field, the liar, though, has no flexibility. They cling to their script word for word, afraid to let the lie breathe. Ask again later, and you'll hear the same tone, the same phrasing, as if replaying a recording. That's not memory, it's fear. Machiavelli understood that repetition is the fingerprint of deceit. The Stoics would call it a weakness disguised as control. The liar believes consistency proves credibility, but true consistency lives in meaning, not in memorized lines. When someone sounds too perfect, too polished, too practiced, step back. Truth doesn't need choreography. I once tested this principle with a colleague. On Monday, I asked why he'd missed an important meeting. Calmly, he said, "My car broke down on the way." On Wednesday, I asked again, casually, as if it had slipped my mind. He gave the exact same words, same phrasing, same rhythm, same tone. It was too perfect, too careful. That's when I knew it wasn't memory speaking. It was a script being replayed to survive. Seneca once wrote, "Truth is simple, deceit requires rehearsal." The honest man's memory bends because it has nothing to hide, but the liars must remain frozen. So here is your practice. When you suspect deception, change the angle. Ask about the same moment from a different point in time, or in reverse. An honest story adapts. A false one crumbles when the choreography fails. The liar thrives on predictability. Their script is written, their path rehearsed. Alter the conversation even slightly, and their performance begins to falter. A subtle shift, a question asked differently, a detail inverted, forces the liar to improvise, exposing cracks in their narrative. The honest person adapts effortlessly because truth is flexible. Lies are brittle and collapse under pressure. I witnessed this in a corporate investigation. An employee insisted he had delivered a file after a meeting. When asked which office, he faltered. The story had never included that detail. Machiavelli would have smiled. The stage was bending, and the actor could not maintain the illusion. Stoicism teaches patience and calm. No accusation, only observation. The liar breaks themselves. You simply remain steady. Knowing a lie exists is only the beginning. The real power comes from what you do next. Both Stoicism and Machiavelli teach restraint. Do not rush. Do not reveal your knowledge in anger or impatience. A friend who lies no longer earns your trust. Keep your secrets guarded. A colleague who deceives must remain in view, but never in power. An enemy who speaks falsely should be allowed to continue. Every word they utter is a rope they tie around themselves. Seneca wrote, "The flatterer is more dangerous than the open enemy, for at least with the enemy, you can see the spear. Hidden deceit cuts deeper because it blinds you while it strikes." Your calm, disciplined awareness transforms exposure into strategy. Observe, record, protect your mind. Let deception entangle itself while you remain untouched, free, and always in control. Deception wears many masks. Machiavelli and the Stoics classify liars into 3 types, each demanding a different response. First, the insecure pretender. They lie to inflate themselves, to appear greater than they are. Their illusions collapse under pressure. Place them where competence is tested, and their false image shatters naturally. Second, the strategic manipulator, cunning, deliberate, climbing higher, dividing others, gaining advantage. This type is dangerous. Confrontation is rarely wise. Observe quietly, gather evidence, maintain disciplined silence, and let their schemes expose themselves. Third, the emotional manipulator lies wrapped in tears, anger, or victimhood. They twist reality, converting confrontation into performance. Silence and calm are your shields. Reaction fuels them. Observation diminishes their power. Do not underestimate the power of silence. The liar fears it because it strips away their armor, leaving only their own words exposed. Speak too soon, and you risk giving them cover. React too quickly, and you feed the fire of their performance. The Stoics teach that control over self is control over circumstance. By remaining silent, calm, and steady, you let the liar betray themselves with every unnecessary word, every added detail, every defensiveness that reveals more than they intend. Machiavelli would call it strategic patience. Seneca calls it discipline. You are not hiding, you are observing, weighing, measuring, and letting truth carve its own path. Silence is a blade sharper than confrontation when wielded with unwavering steadiness. Observation is not passive, it is active, deliberate, and demanding. Every twitch of the eye, every shift in posture, every hesitation in speech is data. The liar under scrutiny begins to fracture under this invisible pressure. You do not need to force a confession or confront with accusations. The mere presence of your disciplined awareness is enough to make deception uncomfortable, to create cracks in the facade. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, be like the rock that remains unmoved while the waves crash around it. Your mind, your attention, and your calm presence are the instruments by which lies are exposed. Each moment you watch without judgment. Without emotion, you build clarity, and with clarity comes freedom from manipulation. Deception reveals itself through repetition and predictability. Liars cling to rehearsed phrases, memorized excuses, and carefully constructed timelines because inconsistency is their greatest enemy. The honest person, however, adapts naturally, flexes with circumstance, and shifts the narrative without breaking truth. Observe the patterns, the repeated phrases, the same cadence, the insistence on precision where it is unnecessary. These are footprints of fear, not strength. Machiavelli called this the signature of the cautious deceiver. The Stoics saw it as a lesson in patience and vigilance. Let nature guide your observation. Force will only distort the truth. Do not interrupt. Do not challenge immediately. Let the repetition weigh on itself, and you will see the fault lines form, the cracks where truth begins to seep through. Deception is never perfect. Even the most careful liar reveals themselves in the smallest of ways. A flicker of the eyes, a tightening of the jaw, a shift in breathing. These are the micro-expressions that escape rehearsed words, the silent truths that cannot be rehearsed. You must train yourself to notice them, to catch the pause before the answer, the hesitation before the story unfolds. Marcus Aurelius advised focusing on actions rather than words. Actions are honest. Even when words are not, a liar may craft flawless sentences, but the body betrays what the mind cannot fully control. Your task is to see these slips without judgment, to observe like a master watching a performance, knowing the truth is always present in the unguarded moment. The liar thrives on predictability. Their script is written, their path rehearsed. Alter the conversation even slightly, and the mask begins to falter. A subtle shift, a question asked differently, a detail inverted, forces the liar to improvise, exposing cracks in their narrative. The honest person adapts effortlessly because truth is flexible, lies are brittle, and collapse under pressure. I witnessed this in a corporate investigation. An employee insisted he had delivered a file after a meeting. When asked which office, he faltered. The story had never included that detail. Machiavelli would have smiled. The stage was bending, and the actor could not maintain the illusion. Stoicism teaches patience and calm. No accusation, only observation. The liar breaks themselves. You simply remain steady. Sometimes, the sharpest way to reveal a liar is not by accusation, but by planting a harmless test. Offer a small piece of unique information, a seed only they would know. Then wait. Observe. If it spreads, you have discovered disloyalty without confrontation. Machiavelli called this the fox's strategy. Subtle, quiet, and invisible. The liar cannot resist acting on the opportunity to manipulate or share. I once mentioned casually that I might relocate, knowing only one colleague had heard. Days later, the news traveled through channels I never touched. No accusation was necessary. Their own words betrayed them. The Stoics remind us, control what you can, yourself. You do not manipulate with malice. You clarify the truth. Every false tongue eventually reveals itself if you remain disciplined. Calm and patient, a small, deliberate vulnerability can reveal far more than interrogation ever will. Offer a minor, safe confession, something authentic yet harmless, and observe how the other responds. The honest respond with empathy or alignment. The liar seizes it as permission to disclose their own hidden actions. This is psychological jujitsu. You use their nature against itself without ever risking your own integrity. I tested this once with a colleague I suspected of deceit. I said, I sometimes exaggerate to get out of awkward situations. It makes me feel small. He leaned in and admitted, yes, I do that too. Last week, I claimed a task was done when it wasn't. Just like that. A calculated opening revealed months of hidden behavior. The Stoics teach discipline and observation. Machiavelli teaches strategy. Combined, they turn subtle confession into clarity. No deception can last forever. Every lie is a performance, and every performance tires the body. Eventually, the mask slips, a fleeting twitch, a sigh, a posture that betrays tension. This is the reset glitch, the moment when the illusion ends and the truth stands exposed. Observation is your weapon. You do not confront, you do not accuse. You simply watch. I once met a business partner whose words and smiles were flawless. As the meeting ended, a reflection in the glass revealed a sagging jaw, slumped shoulders, the momentary collapse of composure. Weeks later, betrayal confirmed what his body had already confessed. Marcus Aurelius reminds us that the measure of a man is seen in moments alone, unobserved. The liar cannot maintain the act without an audience. You gain clarity simply by noticing. Detection alone is not enough. Wisdom lies in how you respond once a lie is revealed. The Stoics and Machiavelli both insist, do not rush. Do not reveal your knowledge in anger or impatience. A friend who lies no longer earns your trust. Keep your secrets guarded. A colleague who deceives must remain in view, but never in power. An enemy who speaks falsely should be allowed to continue. Every word they utter tightens the trap they build around themselves. Seneca wrote, "The flatterer is more dangerous than the open enemy, for at least with the enemy, you can see the spear. Hidden deceit strikes unseen, sharper than any open attack. Your calm, disciplined awareness transforms exposure into strategy. Observe, record. Protect your mind. Let deception entangle itself while you remain untouched, free, and always in control."